Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Rama Rama Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare श्री श्री राधा गोपालनाथ भगवान की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavate Naishtaki Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinadarinam Paramanandamadavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So we are continuing our journey, Canto 1, Chapter 7. So we did the first 4 verses of Chapter 7. Today we are going to go to the 5th verse. So the first 4 verses talks about, this is after Narada Muni has left Vyasadeva. And after Narada Muni has left Vyasadeva, Vyasadeva sat on his ashram, which is on the river banks of river Saraswati. He was doing meditation, and he was able to, through devotional service, he was able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead along with his external energy. So that was the 4th sloka. So, so far, the questions are asked by the rishis to Suta Goswami. When was the Bhagavatam written? Where it was written? Why it was written? Right? Those were the questions that were asked. And in reply to those questions, Suta Goswami explained that Vyasadeva was meditating. He was not happy with what he has achieved, even after writing 17 Puranas, Mahabharata, all the dividing the Vedas into 4 and all the Upanishads and Vedanta. After writing all this, Veda Vyasa was not happy. And then Narada Muni appeared on the scene, and he explained to him as a spiritual master, the reason that Narada Muni is not happy, Vyasadeva is not happy, is because he has not explained devotional service. Right? So and then Narada Muni proceeded on to talk about his own life, how he became a devotee, how he got initiation, and after initiation, how he got the darshan of the Lord, and then he went ahead preaching, and finally he concluded how he became the son of Lord Brahma in his next life. So after saying all these things, Narada Muni left, and so Vyasadeva, now to fulfill the order that his spiritual master has given, right? Because the spiritual master has said, you have to write about devotional service. There is no happiness without devotional service. So to accomplish this task, Vyasadeva is meditating on the task. Right? So this is again a very important thing that we should all do in devotional service. One of the most important principle is to meditate on the service. Right? The perfect example on meditating on the service that is given by spiritual master is Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was so focused on his service. He never ever, gave up the thought. The first time when he met his spiritual master, whatever was the service that was given to him, he was so focused. There was this. How many of you have seen Memories of Srila Prabhupada? Have any of you seen the video series, Memories of Srila Prabhupada? Yes. So if you see, it is basically his disciples sharing the memories of Srila Prabhupada. And there is also one more book, I forgot the name of the book, but it talks about the memories of people who associated with Prabhupada before he started ISKCON. It's a very wonderful book. So in that book, it talks about, there's a friend of Srila Prabhupada, when Srila Prabhupada used to do business in Kolkata. Right? This was just after he had met his spiritual master, and remember, he was still not initiated. Prabhupada got initiated. First time he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and only after 11 years he took initiation. It took 11 years for him to take initiation. He waited for, after he took initiation later in Allahabad, right? So, during this period, he used to do his business in Kolkata, and there used to be this, his friend who used to go on a walking with him. Every day morning, they were jogging buddies or walking buddies. So when the devotees, they interviewed him, he said, I remember one distinctive thing about Prabhupada is that was when we go on a walk, I would always talk about my business, right? This is happening, that is happening, this much money, all those things. And Prabhupada, those days he was called Abhay Charan Babu, right? So Abhay Charan Babu invariably will talk about, my spiritual master has told me that I should go and preach in the Western countries. It was in Prabhupada's early 20s, 30s. You're not talking about 60s, 70s. After his, he became initiated, he became more serious in Krishna consciousness. No. Like externally, he was always serious in Krishna consciousness. But I'm talking about just after he met his spiritual master, just one time. He was so focused and serious. He was always meditating on his service. There was never a time Srila Prabhupada never meditated on his service. He was so dedicated to the service that his spiritual master has given. Right? And yesterday I was hearing to a lecture, and and one other memory is, this my spiritual master shared. One time Prabhupada called him to the room and said, do you know why I do all these things? Do you know why I'm dear to Krishna? And then Guru Maharaj was thinking, and then Prabhupada himself replied immediately, it's not because I chant Hare Krishna. It's not because I write all these books. It's not because I read all the Vedic literature. And not because I build all these temples. No. Krishna is merciful to me because I'm trying to follow the instruction of my spiritual master. Prabhupada said that. Right? So, the focus is very important. Sometimes we may not be able to, like last week we were talking about how everybody should compulsorily engage in service on a day-to-day basis. So, even if the circumstance is such that we can't do service on a day-to-day basis, at least we should be meditating on it. Right? We should be desiring for it. We should be meditating for it. So, the first process is Vyasadeva, as soon as he received instruction, he was meditating. Right? And as soon as he meditated, because he is the Lord himself as a literary incarnation, he was able to see the background in which he is going to do the devotion, right? Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? This is the background, right? What he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with various energy, particularly his material energy. This is the background of what we have seen so far. Text 5. Due to this external energy, the living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature, thinks of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries. So, Vyasadeva also saw the absolute personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Then he saw under him, under the control of the Lord, is the material energy. And then he saw in his meditation living entities who are suffering under the control of material energy. They are living under the control of the material nature. Right? Even though they have nothing to do with this. Right? So the Prabhupada's purport is very interesting. The first problem the living entity has is that he thinks himself to be the matter, this body. So he thinks the pains and pleasures of this body is actually the pains and pleasures of himself. Like, we were giving an example last week. It's like, let's say, you buy a brand new car. You get a, $5 million, you buy a Lamborghini, Ferrari, Mercedes, whatever you want. You buy this, super car. And then, you drive it on the highway, right? As you're driving, some idiot comes and, hits your car in the behind, You bought a new car, you're so attached to it. And when somebody comes and dashes, nothing happens to you, right? But when you feel so much pain in the heart, right? Or, if something we like very much is like, is broken or something, We feel the pain, like I love this shirt very much. I know I love this pant very much. And somebody comes and throws something on the shirt, you get irritated. Why? Because of the attachment with that thing, right? So when you're attached to the car, you feel it's not that when somebody hits a car, you feel, your body is hit. But still you feel the pain because of your attachment, right? Similarly, Prabhupada writes in the purport that when the living entity is under the material energy, he is so attached to the body, that he thinks himself to be the body. And he takes the feeling and willing and thinking of the body to be himself. Right? Even though the living entity has its own feeling, willing and thinking. These are the three functionalities that are critical. Willing, feeling and thinking. Right? So all these of them, even though these all belongs to the material body, the living entity identifies himself with that. Like we were talking about the example of how we acquire characteristics outside of us, right? It's not on our own we have acquired these characteristics. All our likes and dislikes, right? How many of you like spicy food? Very spicy food. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. How many of you can't eat spicy food? 1, 2, 3. Anybody? 4. And many of them are neutral, so I don't know what it is, whether they like or don't like spicy food. So if you think about it, why you like spicy food? You're used to that? All the time, yeah, good. So think about it. So then where did your like come from? It's based on the external factors. Like, how many of you have tried Brazilian food? Anybody tried Brazilian food? You know how it's without any spice? It's very bland. I come from South India, right? So the first time I went to a devotee's, I went to meet this, I was working in US and we went out for a team lunch. So because I was there, I told them I don't go to a non-veg restaurant. So they picked an Indian vegetarian restaurant. So we went there. And one of my team members was actually a Brazilian. So he called me and said, hey, look, I can't eat spicy food at all, and I know you Indian guys eat too much spicy food. So order me something, without any spice, very, very mild. So then I asked the chef, it was a small restaurant, so I asked the chef, what do you have, something that's very mild? And the chef was also an Indian, right? So he said, I'll make a paneer butter masala, which is very sweet, right? Paneer butter masala for me is very, very sweet. I come from South India. We eat, too much chili, very much rajogun, right? So then I said, okay, paneer butter masala is generally very sweet. So I ordered, we had all these Indian breads and, paneer butter masala. And then I started eating and I felt like, this is too sweet, right? And, this guy sitting next to me, he was sweating. I told you to order something non-spicy, It's like, so, I couldn't understand. I was like thinking, what is this guy talking about? And then later on, in Mayapur, there was one Brazilian devotee who got married, and I went to their marriage ceremony, and then they gave me the food, which was Brazilian food, and I started eating, and I couldn't eat after the third spoon because it was very bland for me. And they were enjoying the food. Then I realized, this is why that guy was sweating the other day, right? If you think about it, all our likes, dislikes, they are all external factor to us. It's not, somebody wants to become a doctor, somebody wants to become an engineer, somebody wants to become a teacher. Our aspirations are all from external factors, right? Were we born thinking that I want to become a CEO of this company? No, right? As we saw, we grew, we saw something which we liked, and then we thought, okay, this is what I want to become. And, yes. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. So it's all an external factor. The point that I'm saying is, it's like all external factors that are influencing you. So why would we identify and say, I like this? We don't like it. It's not like I chose to like spicy food. There is no freedom there. When we talk about free will, last week we were discussing free will. Where is the free will here? So that's what Prabhupada is writing in this verse, is that is all our likes, just everything is external and we have acquired everything to be ourself and we are trying to fight for it. When we get it, we are happy. When we don't get it, we are sad. So the pleasures and pains of the body, it's all external to us, but because we have identified ourselves with the body, thinking this body is me, we are acquiring all these problems. Right? So Prabhupada explains that this is the root cause of the problem, and that's what Vyasadeva could see. Why we are talking all these things? Vyasadeva is seeing all these things, how the living entity is under the material energy. And Prabhupada beautifully explains in that purport how he is under the material energy. Right? So even though on its own the Atma has its own willing, feeling and thinking, that is completely lost. It's completely covered by the willing, feeling and thinking of the material body. And because we have lost our original feeling, thinking, willing, we are trying to acquire happiness for the body and we struggle hard. Right? So this was the first part of the purport. And in the second part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, then a question rises, why is Maya making me do this? Because it's nature that we don't want to take the blame on ourselves, right? We want it's like, So the question naturally arises, why did Krishna put me under Maya? Why did Krishna put me under Maya? It's all Krishna's fault. Right? Because Krishna is ultimately the controller of both Maya and the living entities. Right? So Prabhupada explains that the Maya is doing this on behalf of the Lord because the living entity doesn't want to follow his own willing, feeling and thinking. So Prabhupada gives the example of a rich merchant's son who doesn't want to follow the proper protocol. So he has to be put under a severe teacher who will actually teach him what he should do. So that difficult teacher is Maya Devi. And Prabhupada writes, it's a thankless job for her. We all devotees say, Maya is the root cause. She is a, witch. This is how, we all perceive Maya. But actually she is a great devotee and she is just doing it as a service to the Lord. To recondition our thinking and to make us go back to our original position. And Prabhupada, Prabhupada writes in the purport, not only Krishna is merciful that he puts us under a difficult teacher or puts us in a kind of like a king puts in a jail, bad citizens in the jail. He himself goes inside to the jail to help the prisoners become better and come out. And that's why Krishna comes, as avatar. So Prabhupada is saying, it's ultimately the mercy of the Lord that he comes to reclaim. Now the problem is that even though Krishna comes, we are not ready to go. So then, because why Krishna comes as avatar? Because he wants us to surrender to him. Right? So in the next three verses, these three verses is all about, this is what Vyasadeva saw. He saw the Lord, he saw the Maya under the Lord, and we saw the living entities under the Maya, and he saw what is the only way for the living entities to get out of that Maya. Right? So Prabhupada writes in the purport that only way to get out of the material is by surrendering. The purport is very, very methodical. It has a beautiful flow, what Prabhupada writes. So, then the question rises, how do I surrender? And then Prabhupada writes, you can surrender by the influence of good association. Okay. Influence of good association. Then again a question rises, what is association? Prabhupada says association means simply hearing from sadhus. Because Prabhupada again goes to the second chapter of the first canto, where we saw how, hearing. Because when we hear, we develop taste, and that taste, Prabhupada writes, will lead to respect, devotion, and attachment. Because when we hear about Krishna, we get a taste, oh, such a wonderful person. Right? When we think of him, when we understand, oh, Krishna, such a wonderful person, Mahaprabhu, so merciful. So, when we get the taste, we also get some respect for the Lord. And out of respect, the devotion is born. Okay? What do we do when we respect somebody? We want to do some service to them, right? People, like a politician, they go and join the political party, they work in his campaign, right? So we have a political party which is ISKCON, and we come here and do, campaign for Krishna. And that's what devotion means. And then out of that devotion, Prabhupada writes, the real attachment will come. Right? And out of that attachment, when that attachment happens, Prabhupada writes, our surrender is complete. It means we have completely surrendered when we develop that attachment. See, what a wonderful flow. Very simple. It's all very simple. We just complicate it actually. Prabhupada's purports are straightforward, very simple. It's just that because, Gaur Govind Maharaj says, right, and Prabhupada himself says, devotional service is simple for simple people, complicated for complicated people. We feel devotional service is too complicated because we are complicated. Otherwise, devotional service is very simple, straightforward. Right? So, that's verse number 5. And, particularly for hearing, Srila Prabhupada writes, Srimad Bhagavatam is the best. It's the summum bonum of everything of spirituality, this book. That's what is explained in the next 2 verses. In the next verse, Sutta Goswami continues what Vyasadeva was saying. The material miseries of the living entities which are superfluous to him can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature which is in relation to the supreme truth. So Vyasadeva not only saw the problem, he saw the solution as well. What was the solution? Bhakti Yoga. The verse directly says, Bhakti Yogam Adokshaje. Not to anybody else. Not to my father, mother, wife, son, no. Bhakti Yogam Adokshaje. Anyway, Prabhupada explains, Bhakti means it can be only for Krishna, nobody else. Not even demigods we can have Bhakti. Bhakti is a term that can be used only for Krishna. Right? That's explained in Devotion by Rupa Goswami, why Bhakti is only for Krishna. So he saw that, and then in the next verse, he goes, simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearlessness. So, now further Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he is explaining about this part. Right? How just, what this verse say is, just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, we will get the love for topmost form of attachment, which is prema, the love for the Lord. Love for Krishna will manifest in the heart, and when that is manifested, all the problems that is caused by material energy will be destroyed. What are all the 3 problems? These are the only 3 problems. Soka, moha, bhayapaha. So, soka means lamentation, moha means illusion, and bhaya means fear. These are the biggest problems, or these are the only problems in the material world. So if these 3 are solved, then we are free. Soka, moha. Moha means illusion. And then bhaya. Bhaya means fear. 3. You can read the verse. These words are exactly there in the verse. The last line of the verse. It's, I don't know which Bhagavatam you have. In the small one, it's 307. So, what Prabhupada explains is that of all our senses, ears is the most effective. Because even while we are sleeping, when somebody shouts, how somebody wakes us up? Hey, get up. Right? Even when sleeping, the ear is always awake. And the living entity, whoever is in the material world, they are all sleeping, right? The Atma is actually sleeping. That's why we are also attached to the body. And how the only way to wake up the Atma is through hearing, right? And Prabhupada writes, one can protect himself from the hands of an enemy while awake, but while asleep, one is protected by the ear only. So, what would happen when we keep hearing Bhagavatam in the association of the devotees? That's also equally important. We will start, getting love for Krishna, right? And Prabhupada writes, the ultimate result of that, of that hearing is as we keep on increasing our devotional service, it will end up in prema or love for Krishna. That's the topmost stage. Because we are all female. I may be wearing a male body, kurta, dhoti, Mataji may be wearing a sari, but I am also Prakriti and you are also Prakriti. So there is no question of feminism in Krishna consciousness. We are all female. And there was one devotee actually, I remember in Mayapur, it was like all sannyasis sitting, all the sannyasis, brahmacharis, everybody sitting in the front row, thousands of people, Gaur Purnima, and then this devotee sat and he started the Bhagavatam class saying, this whole ISKCON movement is under the control of women. Like everybody was looking, what is he talking about? Sannyasi and all that. Oh, yes, we are all under Radharani. So we are all Prakriti. We are all Prakriti, and there is no question of the only Purusha is Krishna. And how women and men are attached. Similarly, the Atma is always attracted to Krishna. The Atma is always attracted to Krishna, and the only way to regain that love, is going to be by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the only way. Srimad Bhagavatam is the only way. Only by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam can we develop that love. And Prabhupada goes on to talk about how, all the politicians, they want a peace, this, that, so many things they want, but they can achieve nothing as long as they are in the material platform. Right? Because material platform means it's a platform of envy. As we were talking last time, envy it's not that I want what he has. It is simply that I don't want him to have it. That's what envy is. And material world is running on that. And when it is running on that, there is no way we can achieve peace. Like Duryodhan, right? He said, I don't bother what they have. Sorry, I don't bother how much I have. I am bothered when they have something. Right? That's what he said. So, so the only way to get out of that is devotional service. Devotional service is the only cure for everything. So that's what Prabhupada explains in the purport. Okay. Now before we go, verse number 10 is going to be today's most important verse. I'm not sure whether I can even finish that verse today. We will see. Verse number 8. The great sage Vyasadeva, after compiling the Srimad Bhagavatam and revising it, taught it to his own son Sri Sukadeva Goswami, who was already engaged in self-realization. So, Vyasadeva saw all this. He saw the Lord, he saw the material energy, the living entities, they are suffering. And the only way to get out of suffering is devotional service. So he compiled Srimad Bhagavatam and he revised it. Right? Again, service means, it's not that I write it one time, throw it and, careful. If Vyasadeva can revise what he wrote, how many times should we be reading Bhagavatam? Think about it. Vyasadeva wrote and then he revised it again just to make sure that it was all correct. There was no, perfection. Or, anyway, whatever he writes is always perfect, but he wanted it to be more perfect and more perfect. Prabhupada writes, there is no end to perfection in Krishna consciousness. We can never say, I did this service perfectly. We can never say that. Radharani herself never feels it that way. Radharani always thinks, I can do this better. She thinks, how can I make this service better next time? Again, I just wanted to share one realization. I think it's Malati Mataji, who is a disciple, very early disciple of Prabhupada. I think it's Malati Mataji, I'm not sure who's. Anyway, one of the very early disciples. She used to cook for, I think I've shared it, anyway I'll share it again. She used to cook for Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur, right? And in Mayapur, those days they had very difficult, 15 devotees were living. Okay, 15 or 16 devotees were living, and they were given a budget of 35 rupees, which is less than $1, 80 cents probably, for one whole month to live. Right? Very difficult situation. They had to live. And then, adding to that, Prabhupada with all his entourage came there. And the Mataji was traveling with Prabhupada because she was cooking. So when she came to Mayapur, she prayed to Radha Madhav, I want to do better service for my, I want to satisfy my spiritual master. I want to cook for him nicely. So, she prayed, and then she was cooking for Prabhupada. And then every day she will take the prasadam, offer it and take the prasadam to Prabhupada. Prabhupada will eat and he'll find some fault in the prasadam. Say, this you shouldn't do it like this, you should have done it like this. Mataji, every day she went and served, and then at the end of the week she felt, it's like, I'm not doing my service right. Because every day Prabhupada is not happy with what I'm doing. He finds something that's not to his satisfaction, so I should stop cooking for Prabhupada. Right? So today I'll find some other devotee who will cook for Prabhupada. And as she was thinking like this, Prabhupada called her into his room. And then he said, today I have invited all the sannyasis from Gaudiya Math. All my god brothers are coming, so I want you to cook a special feast for all of us. Then Mataji thought, okay, Prabhupada has given me instruction. One last time I will cook. Tomorrow I will find somebody. Right? So then she cooked a big feast and everything. And if you have gone to Mayapur, you have a small hut where Prabhupada used to live. So all the Prabhupada was sitting in the center, surrounded by all Gaudiya Math sannyasis, all big god brothers. They're all disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, So Mataji covered her head and, shaking. She took the prasadam inside. She was very scared. She took the prasadam inside. And then, Prabhupada looked at her and, and then he said, see, this is my disciple Malati, and she is very dear to me, right? She is ready to give her life for me, and I will cut my throat for her. And then Mataji started crying. And then she came out, and she's, in the memory she was saying that she realized actually Srila Prabhupada was not actually finding fault. She prayed to Radha Madhav that I want to do, the best service possible. And Prabhupada was actually pointing out how she can do her service better. Prabhupada lived, even the simplest life also he can live. Just, when he went to, initially he went to US, he had to live in a house where there were meat eaters. He'll just make simple rotis on his own, and he'll cook and eat, one simple sabji and live. Prabhupada is completely renounced. So she realized that actually Prabhupada was helping her become a better devotee. So there is no end to perfection in Krishna consciousness. We can never think, I have done this service very nicely. There is always something better to do in the same service that we are doing. Like the same thing is explained in the Gundicha Marjana. In Gundicha Marjana is basically before Rath Yatra time. Jagannath comes from the Sri Mandir to the Gundicha Mandir, right? The Gundicha Mandir, and he stays there for 1 week, then he goes back. That's what Rath Yatra in Puri. So Mahaprabhu every year, just before Rath Yatra, he'll go and do cleaning of the temple. And there's one whole chapter in Chaitanya Charitamrita which explains how Mahaprabhu used to clean. First he will clean, he'll take a broom and he'll sweep it, right? Then he will sweep it again the second time. Then the third time he will pour water, and then, he'll move the water. Then the fourth time again he'll put water and clean it. Then fifth time he'll take a piece of cloth and with that he will wipe it. It's like 6-7 times he would do the cleaning. Because there is no end to it. Whatever service we are doing, we can go more deeper and deeper and deeper. So that's exactly, Vyasadeva is revising whatever he wrote. He didn't just finish it and go. He revised it and then he taught it to his son, right? Sukadeva Goswami, who was already a self-realized soul. Verse number 9. Okay, now as soon as Suta Goswami said that, immediately a question came in Saunaka Rishi's mind. Sri Saunaka asked Suta Goswami, Sukadeva Goswami was already on the path of self-realization, and thus he was pleased with his own self. So why did he take the trouble to undergo the study of such a vast literature? See what an interesting question, right? Because in the previous verse he said, he taught this to his son who was self-realized. Then the question arises, if he is self-realized, why should he study everything? Meaning, the point is that, is as I was saying, in material world, our happiness is external, right? We need a car, a house, a money, whatever, jewels and, nice coat, suit. We have external things that will make us happy. Or good food. When I eat rasagulla, I'm very happy. Okay? So it's always external things that makes us happy. But for a person who is self-realized, it means he's happy in his own self. Because he derives constant happiness internally, he is not dependent on anything externally. He doesn't need anything to be happy. He's completely happy on his own. He's completely satisfied on his own. Right? So for him, all material things doesn't make sense at all because he doesn't derive pleasure in it. Because he's deriving much more pleasure by realizing his own self. We are not talking about devotees. We are talking about self-realized people. People who have understood they are not the body, they are the soul. Yes. Yes, that's self-realization. To realize that you are soul. You realize it. You have a knowledge that you are the body, you are the soul, right? There's a difference between knowledge and realization. Like we have an example, right? Everybody has a knowledge that if you touch fire, it will burn you. Right? We teach the kids, don't touch the fire. It will burn you. But when the realization happens, when the kid really touches the fire, he will never go to the fire again. Why? Because once he has realized that pain, that fire gives pain, that realization has happened. So realization is much higher than knowledge. We all have knowledge, but like even yogis and Mayavadis, they achieve self-realization. They also achieve self-realization. That's when they merge into Brahman, it means they have self-realized. They have understood they are not the body, they are soul. They have understood they are Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. They have realized that. And there is the pleasure that you derive when you are self-satisfied. The Shastras, Vedic literature, they explain that it is million or billion times more than what you derive from material things. And in Bhagavatam there is a verse which says, even that happiness that you derive in liberation is like a small calf's footprint compared to an ocean that you get in devotional service. So the happiness that is derived in devotional service is many million times more than what you derive from self-realization. Right? So a self-realized person, so here for a common man's, it's not that Shaunaka Rishi didn't know, but for a common man's purpose, he's asking if somebody is self-realized, it means he's not dependent on anything. He's happy in his own self. Then why would he need a book, a verse or something to make him happy? Right? Why would he need anything? He has understood himself. He is internal. Why would he need to sit and learn 18,000 verses? What is the need? Because it's an external. You have to have, acquire a Bhagavatam book, as we were talking last week. Srinivas has to walk all the way from Puri to Bengal, get a copy and then come back. It's like 600, 1,200. If somebody is self-realized, why would he do that? He is already happy, right? He doesn't need anything to be happy. So the question was asked as to why even self-realized people read Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? If somebody is in the top of the perfection, we say, we were saying that how achieving prema is the topmost, right? So there is a question that is asked. We can even ask it this way. If somebody has achieved that, why would he read Srimad Bhagavatam? It's very similar to a simpler question we ask, isn't it? Last week we discussed. If anyway by showing an arti or reading half a verse of Bhagavatam, I'm go back to Krishna, why should I chant 16 rounds? Right? The chanting 16 rounds is actually gives much higher than just going back to Krishna. Right? So the same thing he is explaining here in the next verse. And this verse is one of the most important verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. And if possible, I'll try to finish it in this class, but at the rate we are going, maybe we not. This one verse may take me another one whole class. Why? I'll tell you why. This pastime happened in Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took sannyas, right? After taking sannyas, his mother said, you have to go and live in Puri. So Mahaprabhu was coming from Bengal to Puri, right? And as they were nearing Puri, we know Nityananda Prabhu, right? Nityananda Prabhu is the most mischievous of all. He used to always cause trouble, right? So Mahaprabhu, as they were coming to Puri, few miles before Puri, Mahaprabhu said, can you please hold my sannyas danda, right? I just want to go pass, urine, and then I'll come back and collect. Because you can't carry the danda to unclean places. So he went there, and then as he went, what Nityananda Prabhu did, he took the sannyas danda of Mahaprabhu, he broke it into three, and he threw it on a river. Right? Now, Mahaprabhu came back and then asked, where is my sannyas danda? What sannyas danda? Nityananda Prabhu, typical, he will always answer a question with an answer. Sometimes like he used to be like a kid in Mayapur. Like he will just roam around naked. Why are you naked? What is naked? He'll answer. And people will get confused. He's answering a question with a question. What am I supposed to do? So then he said, my sannyas danda. I just got it from my sannyas guru. Oh, that danda. I broke it and threw it in the river. And Mahaprabhu became very angry. Said, I'm not going to travel with you anymore. I'm going separately on my way. Leave me alone. I don't want to go with you. But Vrindavan Das Thakur, he explains why actually Nityananda Prabhu broke the sannyas danda. First of all, Nityananda Prabhu was so upset that Krishna has to take sannyas. Right? Because he knew how, his Lord and Master, because sannyas means very difficult life. Right? So Nityananda Prabhu, he had so much love for Mahaprabhu that he couldn't accept the fact that Mahaprabhu took sannyas. Out of love, he was so angry with that sannyas danda, he broke it. And then the second reason Vrindavan Das Thakur gives is Mahaprabhu took sannyas from Mayavadis, right? Mayavadi, follower of Shankaracharya. They give ekadanda. Ekadanda means single danda. Whereas if you take in a Vaishnava line, they do tridanda, right? All our sannyasis in ISKCON, they all take tridand sannyas. Tridand means there will be actually 4 sticks. If you open their sannyas that, wrapped with the saffron cloth, you will see one central stick and there will be 3 sticks around it. What it says is Krishna is at the center. With my mind, body and soul, I will serve the Lord. That's what Tridandi means. So, to show to the world that Mahaprabhu is not as Ekadandi sannyasi, he is a Tridandi sannyasi, Nityananda Prabhu broke it into 3. Anyway, so we'll come back. So, Mahaprabhu left all these devotees and he went. And as he went inside Jagannath Puri Mandir, see now all the devotees were not there. When Mahaprabhu goes into ecstasy, only devotees can take care of him because he goes into a completely different mood. So as soon as first time he had darshan of Jagannath, he just fainted. He couldn't control the emotions. And there were no devotees to take care of him. Right? So at that time, the local King's Pandit was Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Right? He was the most famous scholar in whole India. Right? He was such a great scholar that all the other sannyasis, even though he was a grahastha, sannyasis, all the, Sankaracharya sannyasis, they will all come and learn Vedanta from him. Because sannyasi means he should learn Vedanta. Vedanta is considered the topmost in the Vedic literature. So, the Sarvabhauma came and he saw there was this sannyasi who was lying unconscious. So he went and he checked whether there is a pulse, whether this guy is alive or not. And then he actually, as he saw, because he was so learned in the literature, he could understand that this guy is not simply unconscious. He is feeling ecstatic symptoms. Right? So then he picked him up and he took him to his house. And, after some time, the devotees came. And then they, Nityananda Prabhu and all others came. They found out he is in Sarvabhauma's house. They went there, they did kirtan and they revived him and everything. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had his brother-in-law living in Puri who was Gopinath Acharya, who was a devotee of Mahaprabhu. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was not a devotee. He was a Nyayavadi. Nyayavada means logician, right? And he was a Mayavadi, very, very good Mayavadi. So, he called Gopinath Acharya and said, this sannyasi is so effulgent, he's looking, this thing, but he's very young. And I'm a little worried that whether he can keep up his sannyas, because he's very young, right? Cause there will always fall down may happen. So, I want to teach him Vedanta. Gopinath Acharya looked at him and started laughing. What nonsense are you talking? He is Krishna himself. Then Sarvabhauma said, you're all sentimentalist. You're just calling him Krishna like that. I don't believe it. So then later, Mahaprabhu came and, became his, he said, he called Mahaprabhu and said, I'm going to teach you Vedanta so that you will be a good sannyasi. Mahaprabhu, by nature, he is very humble and meek. He said, yes, you are the only one who can protect me. I surrender completely to you. Please teach me. So then every day, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya will come to the temple, Mahaprabhu will come, and then he will give a discourse on Vedanta, right? And Mahaprabhu will just sit like this. 7 days like that it happened. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told Mahaprabhu, hey, are you really listening or not? 7 days I have been talking. None of you, you didn't even ask a question, you're just sitting there quiet. Like if somebody sits in my class quiet, I know I'm not giving a good class. Okay? So then Mahaprabhu said, yeah, I am listening, but I'm just a little disturbed because you're, taking the Vedanta sutras and you're just interpreting left and right indirectly, not taking the direct meaning. Right? Then they had a different argument and Mahaprabhu completely defeated him. And Sarvabhauma was, amazed. I am the greatest scholar. I have defeated everybody in India and this simple young sannyasi have defeated me. And then he said, oh, okay. And then Mahaprabhu told him, see, just leave alone this, Mayavadis. Even a self-realized person will actually feel happy when he reads Srimad Bhagavatam, and he quoted this verse. What is this verse? Atma ramascha munayo nigranta api urukrame kurvanti ahaitu kim bhaktim itam bhuta guno harihi. Sutta Goswami said, all different varieties of Atma Ramas, those who take a pleasure in the Atma or spirit self, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls. Now, Mahaprabhu said, see, even liberated souls get attracted to the Lord. That's what Bhagavatam verse says. Can you explain this verse? Right? And then, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya being the great scholar, he had 9 different meanings to the same verse. Right? And then, he said, can you explain the verse? And then Mahaprabhu explained back 18 ways. Without using the 9 ways that he has touched, he gave entirely different 18 different explanations for the same verse. And later, when Sanatan Goswami met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Varanasi, Sanatan Goswami requested him, I heard that you, for one verse, that you gave 18 meanings. Can you please explain that to me? And this time, Mahaprabhu first said, hey, I was a madman, that Sarvabhauma was a madman, both of us were just talking something. Why are you getting attached to all these things? And then, again, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadasa Kaviraj explains what he means by madman. Because they are mad, because they are devotees. They are mad after Krishna. Actually, if you think about it, all of us, if we go outside world, they consider us mad people, right? You don't eat outside, you don't eat onion garlic, are you mad? You don't go and drink in the parties, are you mad? That's what the world thinks of us. So devotees means madman. What is night for us is day for us. Right? So anyway, coming back to the point, and this time, Mahaprabhu gave for the same verse 61 different meanings. One verse, Mahaprabhu gave 61 different meanings. This one single verse, Mahaprabhu gave 61 different meanings. Right? So I was thinking maybe we can go through all 61 different meanings. It will be a very interesting exercise. Right? It's very sweet. It's very wonderful. And then we can will be amazed But how Mahaprabhu actually took one verse and he gave 61, Because just for 18 verses when he gave different meanings, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya surrendered and said, you should be Krishna. Because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was Brahaspati's avatar, right? Brahaspati was the guru of the Devatas. He was the most learned scholar in the whole entire planetary system. And Mahaprabhu gave 18 different meanings than what he gave. He was able to give only 9. So Brahaspati said, you should be Krishna. Nobody else. And here Mahaprabhu actually gave 61 different meanings. So for that we need to understand the verse. Okay, so what Mahaprabhu did, first what he did, each of the words that I have underlined, he gave different meanings for each of these words. So, he gave multiple meanings for each of these words. So what happens when you have like seven meanings for each of the letter words, and if you combine them together, there are actually unlimited combinations. But Mahaprabhu explained 61 of them later, after explaining the separate verses. Now I'll go through each one of them. Very interesting. And if possible, I'll... Let's first take the word Atma. One, two, three, four, five. What's that? Okay. These are the 7 meanings that Sanskrit dictionary gives for the word Atma. Right? Atma can mean the body. Right? Atma can mean mind. Atma can mean intelligence. Atma can mean absolute truth. When I say absolute truth, the soul is also absolute truth. Krishna is also absolute truth. So Atma can mean both living entity and Paramatma. Right? And then firmness. Being very firm is also Atma. Then the natural characteristics of a thing, that's also called Atma. And endeavor. The effort somebody puts, that's also is called Atma. Right? Now think. Atma Ramas. Rama means one who takes pleasure. Right? So with this 7 meaning, it means one who takes pleasure in the body, one who takes pleasure in the mind, one who takes pleasure in the absolute truth. That's what we are talking about, self-realized person. One who is happy when he is firm. One who is happy when he is firm. And then one who takes happiness in the natural character of the things. Right? We want everything pure, isn't it? If you think about it, pure water, meaning what? We want it in its natural state, without any contamination. One who takes happiness in intelligence and one who takes happiness in endeavor. Like, I did great job yesterday. You know what? Because I put in a lot of effort. Just the endeavor itself sometimes makes us happy. Right? So, Atma Ramas, based on the different meanings of Atma, can give different meaning. Right? Now, yes. Endeavor. That's the natural character. Is it in Prabhupada's purport? Yes. So Prabhupada in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Mahaprabhu explains, he uses the word natural characteristics. Okay. So I was just using Prabhupada's purport from Chaitanya. What Prabhupada has done in the purport or the purport of this verse is there is one whole chapter that explains these 61 different meanings. So Prabhupada has summarized everything into purport. There are total 120 verses that explains the 61 different meanings, and Prabhupada have taken everything and he has combined and given a summary of that 125 verses in his purport. So if you read just the purport to this verse, you have finished one chapter in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's a wonderful summary what Prabhupada has given. Okay. Then the word Muni, right? Because Munayo comes from the word Muni. Right? It has four meanings. One who is thoughtful. An ascetic. One who is not restricted by rules. And what's the last one? Oh, sorry. Not. This is for the next word. A saint, a renunciate or a sannyasi. Right? Yeah, so grave and silent. Persistent and mendicants. I think, yeah, this is mendicant, you can consider. So these are the different meanings of this word. And then nirgantaha. Okay, a mendicant is, in India you can very clearly understand the difference, right? A sadhu means anybody who's a devotee, who's advanced in spiritual life is a sadhu or a saint. Okay? A mendicant is one who goes begging house by house, right? Even in renunciant, there are many varieties of sannyas order. Do you know that? There are four stages of sannyasis actually, if you understand. The first one is one who leaves the house, lives in the forest, but his necessities are supplied from the house. Right? That's the first stage. In the second stage, he'll not accept anything from his house. He'll go start begging. House to house, he'll go and beg food. Right? That's a mendicant stage. Right? In the third stage, he's a parivragacharya. Meaning, he goes all around the world, giving classes, lectures, helping people to spiritually come up. And the final stage is called the Paramahamsa stage, where he is completely self-realized as Uttamadhikari. So, if you read Prabhupada's Leelamrita, you'll understand how Prabhupada, even though he was in the Paramahamsa stage, he came down to Parivragacharya stage because he wanted to travel and help everybody become devotee. Sometimes the Uttamadhikari comes to the level of Madhyamadhikari, because at Uttamadhikari stage you can't preach. Because why? Uttamadhikari means he sees everybody as a servant of Krishna. He sees everybody as a servant of Krishna. He can't even see Hiranyakashipu as not a servant of Krishna. Because his eyes are completely anointed by love. When he is so inundated with love, he can't see any negative qualities in anybody. Right? But a preacher means he has to say, you are a rascal, you please better become a devotee. Right? So, they have to come down for preaching. Uttamadhikari has to come down to the level of Madhyamadhikari and help people overcome their problems. Is that okay, Mataji? Sages and saints are very same. It's just a difference between a Paramahamsa and Parivragacharya. Sages means they should travel. Saint, it doesn't matter. Anywhere, wherever he is, even a Grahastha can be a saint. Sages are generally traveling sadhus. And sages also mean rishis, like they may not be devotees, like Atri, Marichi, they are all sages. Vishwamitra is a sage. You know what I mean? They are all rishis. So that is one other definition of sages to saints. Saints means devotees. They are rishis, meaning they have spiritual power. They don't. It's not that they are not devotees, but their process is entirely different. They follow tapasya, like Vishwamitra. They are still devotees. They are still devotees because ultimately everything ends in devotional service. Even for a person who is searching for material happiness, if he searches, Chaitanya Charitamrita says, if somebody is so determined that he should achieve material happiness, at the end he will come to Krishna consciousness. Right? So, that's the, okay. Is that okay, Mataji? Okay? Every process ultimately will lead to devotional service. Every process, if it is Vedic, ultimately will end in devotion. Because everything ends in devotional service. But for us, for a devotee, the problem is that at some point, when they become a devotee, they have to give up. They don't have to follow tapasya anymore. But for a devotee, the process and the goal, they are same. But that's not true for other forms of yoga. The process and the goal are different in other methods. Right? In karmi means what? I want to enjoy materially. Right? My goal is to get money, but my process is to work like an ass. Same thing. Yoga means self-realization, but my process is to first control the body, control the mind, and then think about Krishna, and then finally achieve self-realization. The goal and the process are different. Jnana Yoga is same. Right? All the Mayavadis, they read all Vedantic literature and then they finally come to a conclusion, this is all Maya. Whatever they read, whatever process they did, this is all Maya. That's the conclusion they will finally come to. Right? So that's why Prabhupada calls this a troublesome process. He says it's a very troublesome process because, after doing all these things, you come out and say this is all nonsense. Whereas devotional service, the activity and the goal, both are sweet. Because the goal and the process are same. We do bhakti to become a devotee and do bhakti more. Right? Yes. Yes. So sometimes Prabhupada calls it Pravritti Marg. He's saying following the steps. And he calls Bhakti Yoga the lift. There is 100 floors. Sometimes you can follow the steps. Right? Whereas Bhakti Yoga is like a lift. It will take you directly to the floor that you want to go. Whereas, the other process is like you go from one level to the other level to the other level. And Prabhupada says sometimes you can get in some level, You go to a level, you see the opulence there, oh, this is nice. And you forget that your goal is to go to the top floor. Yes. It could mean one who is liberated. One who has no connection with rules and regulations. A capitalist. And one who is poor. One who is penniless. Prabhupada used the word penniless guy. Now, even before I go there, just think how the combination can work. One who is liberated will go with this meaning for Atma Rama. Right? Atma Rama means one who has self-realized. So that means he is liberated. So when Atma means absolute truth, Nirgantaha will mean one who is liberated. Right? When it applies to a person, one who is attached to body, one who takes pleasure in the body, it means one who doesn't follow rules and regulations. Does it make sense? See how Mahaprabhu is combining the words. We apply to, yes, to the person who has understood absolute truth. Because, yes, you can also take that meaning. That's why then the words then you have two more meanings now. See, this absolute truth you can use with both these words. Right? Because for a person who is self-realized, there is no rules. There are no rules or regulations apply. That is also correct. That's also one of the meanings Mahaprabhu explained. Yes. Now, that's what the same word can mean both these. They are not connected. It's just that the same word can give opposite, but most of the capitalists are penniless today. We all live in a capitalist society, right? Yeah, that's correct. But I'm just saying, I can still be a capitalist, still be very poor, which is true for 80% of the population today. Like, capitalism means 1% of the population has 95% of the money. So it means the rest of the 99 population is penniless. So in a way, but to give you clarity, it actually, the same word can mean two different things. Right. Okay. Then urukrame. This word means urukrama, right? Krama means step, right? There are many meanings Prabhupada is writing for urukrama. One whose activities are glorious. Urukrama means, can I rub this? Can I rub it and write it? That way it will be easy. Or can I rotate this boat? I'll see. Do you know how to do it? Turn it. Oh, this will not allow. Oh, okay. Thank you, bro. Anyway. One who is glorious. Also, the Urukrama can generally Urukrama refers to Vamana Deva. Why? Krama means step, right? Urukrama means huge step, right? So, in a way, what it means, the only person who took the huge step in this world was Vamana Deva. You know, we say, you know, what was that famous saying in moon landing? I forgot. One small step, but a huge leap for mankind, something. Mankind, yeah. So, you know, just to land on moon, they make all these statements. And think about Vamanadev. With his 1 foot, he, measured, he conquered the whole upper 7 planetary system. With the other one, the lower 7 planetary. He conquered the whole universe with 2 steps. The whole universe was just 2 steps for him. So that's why Urukrama normally means Vamanadev. So Prabhupada explains, this Urukrama specifically indicates the Lord's incarnation as Vamana, who covered the whole universe by immeasurable steps. Okay, so these are the 2 meanings. And also, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu explains, as I said, Uru basically means very great. Krama can mean step. Or throwing the foot. Or power, meaning one who has very great power, right? Mahaprabhu, to explain that meaning of Urukrama, he quotes a verse from Bhagavatam where Krishna single-handedly, like just lying down, he produces millions of universes, just lying down, great power. So, all different meanings. Why we are talking about these different meanings of the Lord? Because everybody sees Krishna as different, right? That's what we saw in one of the previous classes. Because when we take the word Atma Rama, when somebody is attached to the body, he wants to see the Lord with great power because he wants to ask something material. Right? For us devotees, it's more like they want to hear the glories of the Lord. They are more interested in hearing. Right? So, one who is glorious. So, based on how you interpret Atma Rama, you can again, right. Again, going back to your point, devotees want to know Krishna who is glorious. They want to know Krishna who is powerful. Because later on the word bhakti is defined. There Mahaprabhu gives 9 different meanings for bhakti. We'll come to that and then I'll link back to this. Yeah, ni grantaha. So nirgantaha has 2 words, ni and granta. So yes, so I'll come to that a little later when we are explaining the verses. Kurvanti. Kurvanti means, it just means they do something for others. And here it means something for others. What here it means is devotional service because they do it for Krishna. That is Kurvanti. And then we have the word ahai tukam, right? Yeah, in that Prabhupada particularly takes the word hetu Ahaitukam means without cause, hetu means cause. Right? There can be three causes, Prabhupada writes, or Mahaprabhu explains. What are all the three causes? Material enjoyment, Siddhic powers, mystic powers, and liberation. These are all the causes why people do activity, isn't it? I'm not talking about devotees. We are talking about non-devotees. Ahaitukam is without cause, but generally people do things for cause. And what are the causes? Material enjoyment. There are thousands of varieties of material enjoyment. People want to get a car, a house, a shirt, iPad, whatever you want to keep, you want to keep. That is material enjoyment. Thousands of things. Mystic powers. How many mystic powers are there? Do you know? 8 major and 10 minor. If you read Bhagavatam, 11th canto again, Krishna explains 8 major and 10 minor. So total 18. Ahaitukam. Haitukam comes from the word hetu. Hetu means cause. Haitukam means without cause. Ahaitukam. Right? Anyway, then the last one is liberation. And Mahaprabhu explains there are 5 kinds of liberation. So there is unlimited varieties of we shouldn't say unlimited. There are many varieties of material enjoyment. And there are 18 different mystic powers, 5 kinds of liberation. Anybody remember what are the 5 kinds of liberation? It should be in your nectar of devotion, and right? Yes? Yes. Okay, I'll just quickly write, then rub it. What is the first one? Salokya. Lokya means loka, meaning living in the same planet. Then Samipya. Samipya means, yes, associate of the Lord. Then Sarupya. Rupa means having the same form, 4 hands. All the Vishnu Tudas, right? Then Sarshti, which is having the same opulences as the Lord. And finally Sayujya, meaning merging into the Brahman, the effulgence of the Lord. So devotees at least accept these 4. We completely reject this. Right? So that's Hetu. And then, where did I leave the tester? Oh. Thank you, Prabhu. I'm a little absent-minded. Okay. Yes. Sarashti. Sarashti is getting the opulence, same opulence as Krishna. Right? Sarupya is form. Opulences is like Krishna has all the opulences, right? 6 different kinds of opulences, renunciation, there's all the opulences, you get the same. Not in the same quantity, but how much ever that jiva can take. So, yes. Lagima, Mahima. Those are the 8 major ones, and there are 10 minor ones, like, being able to repel poison and things like that. There are some 10 minor ones. So the next one is Bhakti. Right? Bhakti, Mahaprabhu gives 10 different meaning for the word Bhakti. Right? It could mean sadhana bhakti. And in Raganuga Bhakti, Mahaprabhu gives 9 different meanings. Let me get that verse. Sorry, just give me a minute. I'm trying to find the exact. Is it in the puppet? Oh. Yes. I'm just trying to get the Sanskrit word for it. Yes. Raganuga Bhakti, and within it are Rati, Prema, Sneha, Man, Pranaya, Raga, Anuraga, Bhava, and Mahabhava. Bhava and Mahabhava is, even though it is, yeah. Oh, okay, sorry. So Mahaprabhu considered this separate, 8 and 9. So there are 10 different meanings for the word bhakti he takes. Yes, sorry, my handwriting is not that great. Oh, okay. Can you? Yeah, there are different types. They are all different types. They are all inside Raganuga Bhakti. Sneha, then mana. Okay, so I'll give the meaning for each. Rati means attraction, right? Prema means love. So more mature form of Rati. It's more intense. Rati is attachment. Prema is love. It's more intense. Then Sneha. Sneha is friendship, right? Which Prabhupada gives us meaning as affection as well. And then Mana. Mana means adverse feeling. Meaning, you go to, how many of you been to Vrindavan? You have seen the place where Radharani had Man. What does that Man mean? She is angry with Krishna. Man means when Radharani goes in Man means, then she completely, like Krishna went to some other gopi's house. Radharani was so angry. Posted Lalita and Vishaka outside. Come what may, don't allow the rascal inside. He is not allowed inside my house, so that's called Man. There are many leelas where Krishna did just to cool down Radharani. And that Man is also a sign of Raganuga Bhakti. It's a way of expressing feeling. Right? Then the next one is Pranaya. Pranaya is intimacy, right? Intimate. When Radharani and Krishna have an intimate pastime, the mood that is explained there. Then there is Raga. Raga is again attachment. And then Anuraga is sub-attachment. Then sub-attachment, that's what Prabhupada writes. Attachment and sub-attachment. Anuraga is, subservient to that. Then there is Bhava and there is Mahabhava. And then Mahaprabhu actually explains that, see, a person, there are 5 different rasas, right? Santa, then Seva, Dasyam, Sakyam, Vatsalya, and then Madhuryam. So, Shantarasa can go until Prema, right? And then, Mahaprabhu says, servitorship can go until Raga, that is Dasya Rasam. And then, Shantaras, neutrality, the trees and the stones in Vrindavan, they are also attracted to Krishna. They also have prema for Krishna. But what the servitors have is higher. It's called raga. Right? And generally the anuraga is for friendship and parental, vatsalya. Right? So this is Vatsalya and friendship. Anuraga. So it's basically they feel more. Their emotions, their ecstasy, their feelings are more intense. No, Santa would be up to prema. Raga is for servitor, Anuraga is for friendship and Vatsalya, and only. No, Raga is for Dasya. Seva is Dasya, sorry, both are same. Seva means servitor. No, I'm just saying these 5, what they can feel out of these 9 in Raganuga Bhakti, what they can feel. No, okay. No, he will. Whereas he can do only 2. Whereas Raga can do all 6. Shantaras. 2. Seva could do 6. Yeah, Dasyam or Seva, both are same, can do the 6. Vatsalya and Sakyam and Vatsalya both can do 7. Yep. And the Madhurya or the conjugal relationship 1 to 9. But later in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is explained Mahabhava is only for, even though we say Madhurya Bhav, it is only for Radharani. Other than Radharani, not anybody can feel. Mahabhav and Bhav, even though I said 8 and 9 is for all conjugal devotees, later in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is explained that Mahabhav can be achieved only by Radharani. The only other person who have achieved Mahabhav is Mahaprabhu, because Radharani herself. He had taken the mood of Radharani, so he can feel the feelings of Radharani, that intensity of love, not Bhav. Okay? Yes. Bhava is experienced by all Madhurya devotees. Is by Radharani. Okay. Now, I know we don't have time, so I'll finish the class here. We'll continue this verse. What we'll do is we'll see the other. I'll go back. So we have finished until the word bhakti. Oh, it's okay. So, we have seen until the word bhakti. We have to see itam bhuta, guno and harihi. We have to see the meaning for these 3 words, different meanings. And then we will assemble it to 61 different ways. Is that okay? Yes. Yes. Yep. Correct. Glorious. That is what we will come in next week, because we are going to see the meaning of the word cha and api as well. So then you will get the meaning of the whole verse, because cha and api are the connectors in Sanskrit. They are like, I don't know whether you can call it adverb, adjective, whatever it is, or what they call it. So they are the connecting. So we will see the meaning for itam bhuta, guno, hari, and also 7 meaning for cha and 7 meaning for api. See, only Krishna can do this, right? Can anybody give 7 meanings for every word in a verse and then combine them together and create thousands of meanings? Sorry? Cha means and, but it also has other meanings that we'll see in next week's class. I'll try to take a printout of this and bring it for you. I'll try, instead of you writing it down, maybe I have it, I put a PowerPoint slide, so I'll take a printout of it and bring it for you, so you can use it next week. Is that okay? So, exactly. So let's not, you don't have to write down. Next week I'll give a handout with all this. Yes? Sorry? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. No, we have question time. This is a question time, so you can ask questions. Yes, Mataji. Yes. Yep. So, right, as I said, there are many versions of Bhagavatam. Right? For example, when Brahma spoke it to Narada Muni, it was only 4 verses. Which we will see in the second chapter, second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's called the Chaturshloki verses, right? In just 4 verses, whole Bhagavatam was talked, Brahma and Narada Muni, right? When Parikshit Maharaj listened, that was maybe 17,500 without these first 10 chapters, right? When Suta Goswami spoke to Saunaka Rishi, that's where all the 18,000 verses were spoken, right? In terms of what was spoken to Sukadeva Goswami, this is my understanding, but I'll validate it with some senior devotee. My understanding is that it contained all the discussions, whatever Sukadeva Goswami spoke to Parikshit Maharaj. Whatever answers he gave in response to the question, that was the Bhagavatam that was discussed between Vyasadeva and, Sukadeva Goswami. Yes. So it is 10 more than 10 or 12,000 verses, right? 10,000 verses. It's not easy to learn 10,000 verses, right? No, it's this one. This particularly talks only about Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami if you see the whole, read the Vedic literature, Sukadeva Goswami comes only for Bhagavatam, not for other Puranas. Like, for example, Narada Purana was talked between 4 Kumaras and Narada Muni. So, Vishnu Purana was spoken by, what was his name? Parasara Muni. So, different literature so what is talked about when it comes to Sukadeva Goswami, it talks only about Bhagavatam. Because he's not interested in everything else. He's not even interested even in learning Vedanta Sutra. That's why the question was asked. Because generally, a liberated person, he doesn't, like you said, no rules and regulations apply to them, right? So they don't chant mantras, they don't read books, they don't have to do anything. So that's why the question was asked, why did he read Bhagavatam? Why did he accept Bhagavatam? And that's what we see as an answer, that even liberated people, they take pleasure in doing devotional service. And then we will see as we go, in the meaning, Mahaprabhu is explaining the story of the 4 Kumaras, how they got attracted, then how Sukadeva Goswami himself got attracted to Bhagavatam. Even the liberated people, they get attracted to doing devotional service. And Bhagavatam, reading Bhagavatam is not a jnana. It's not an activity of acquiring knowledge. It is actually a devotional activity in itself. It's not that we learn Bhagavatam and we'll go do something else for devotional service. Reading Bhagavatam itself is devotional service. Yes. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? Whatever we learned from Prabhupada's purport, we are writing it here. You should read that 100, I think that chapter contains 120 verses. It's beyond nectar. When we understand it, when we read it, we'll be amazed. how can somebody think like this? It's not humanly possible. Then what happens, we appreciate definitely Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. It's chapter number 24 in the Madhyama Leela. The whole chapter